The Oregon Ducks will host a playoff game against James Madison after landing 5th in the CFP rankings. And we will also talk about all of the wine that went on after the final rankings fell. This is the Ducks Confidential Podcast. I am Aaron Fentress of the Oregonian OregonLive. He is George Wrighster of the CW in the Unafraid Show, who's fresh off casting his first ever Heisman ballot, which we cannot discuss in depth because you're not supposed to talk about them because they're top secret. I think if you do talk about them publicly, I think SWAT teams will come into your home and take you away. So we will avoid that.
It's
anyway,
like
how was your week?
Streaming services. You know, at the beginning when you used to rent from Blockbuster or whatever, you used to put the FBI warning, and then people were like, "Ain't nobody showing up at my house."
I used to love those FBI warnings. All right, so man, interesting week and interesting season. Look, we can say what we want about the CFP rankings, but man, they do their job. They get people talking 24/7.
Yeah,
it's what they want, right? All right, so let's just get straight to let's talk about the Ducks first. Then we're going to talk about what the committee got right, what they got wrong. Then we'll dive into the matchup a little bit with James Madison, and we'll talk about Oregon's path. But first, my 3 words on the whole thing: wake me after. I am so
don't be that guy.
Ticked off. Listen, first of all, I get it. Duck fans, I get it. It's a tune-up game for Texas Tech. Unlike last year, we had to sit around for almost a month for Ohio State. I get it. And it's a game you know you're going to win. I get it. But as far as what we lost out on, Notre Dame coming to Autzen, that would have been phenomenal.
That was that's
phenomenal.
Option. That was never even an option.
Hold on. I understand that, which gets me to my next point, was that rule, the P6 rule shouldn't even exist. Or group of 6, sorry, shouldn't even exist. That's the problem. They got it wrong. So not only you have 1 in there, you have 2 in there. So yes, Oregon's going to host a playoff game. It's going to be cool, I guess. But a 20-point dog, blew a great opportunity. Now you go.
Don't be an elitist.
I'm not being an elitist.
Yes, you are, dude.
I'm not.
Boise State deserved to be in the playoff last year. They, they absolutely deserve to be in the playoff.
But they were ranked in the top 10. James Madison and Tulane are not ranked in the top 15.
But group of 5 teams don't get the same credit. Now, granted, UCF could have this year had they like they're not judged when there's a really good group of 5 team. Like, we really don't know how good they really are because their schedule doesn't typically dictate that, and they usually have to have a game versus a P5 opponent that they won, and then all of a sudden people are like, oh, never mind, this is a good football team. So I get that, but this is the way it is set up. I do think it's a good idea to have the group of 5 in there, at least for 1 bid. I think 2 is excess. I am not going to lie on that. I think 2 is excess. The 1 feels right because you can have, because Tulane beat I think they beat Duke this year. So they can beat group of 5 teams. They may not be like they beat the team that won the ACC. Not the best team in the ACC, but they beat the team that won the ACC. So my 3 words are bring them on. Bring them on. Listen, if my mama get out there in front of me, she's getting ran over. So JMU, SMU, TCU,
PLU,
Ducks by 3 touchdowns.
BCC.
I don't care. And remember what I asked for, Aaron. I did not care who we played, where we played. Just give me the best possible matchup for us. Like, that is all I want, is the best possible. And that doesn't mean, best possible does not mean the quote unquote easiest. Best possible, just put teams in front of the Ducks that they can beat. That is all I care about. Because Ole Miss could be the bad matchup, or Georgia could be the bad matchup, or whoever could be the bad matchup. Oklahoma could be the bad matchup. Just put teams in front of the Ducks that they can beat. That is all I care
Okay.
about.
And
I
that's
feel
fine.
like that they can beat James Madison. And then I'm looking further down
We're not talking about path yet.
Okay.
Path
Okay.
is later. You like to jump like 8 segments ahead, like I do in Talking Duck sometimes. So we both do it. But anyway,
Aaron,
we'll get to that in a second.
Okay, so I'm gonna pull people behind the curtain a little bit. So for me, sometimes it's a little bit difficult because for 4 years hosted a solo radio show on Mad Dog. So
Right,
I
exactly.
always introduce everything, talk about everything, and then on Unafraid Show on YouTube, I do
know.
it myself when I'm interviewing people. So when you're doing it or Jordan's doing it on Talking Ducks, it is and or when I do other radio shows with people and I'm not the host. Like sometimes I'm in the one seat, the host or the moderator, if you call it, and then sometimes I'm the analyst. And so sometimes I have to be like, George, remember what part you're playing right now.
So I've been there with other people who do radio and solo radio, and you try to do a podcast with them, and sometimes you're sitting there on eBay for like 6 minutes because they're filibustering. So no, I get it. I totally get it. But no, we'll unleash you on that for a second. So let me go back to this whole thing. So Boise State last year, their schedule was whack.
He's like, hold me back.
Yeah, but they beat Oregon State when Oregon State was still in the. No, it's Oregon State. No, the Pac was right there. They played a tough game in Oregon, which is what carried them the rest of the season. So they shouldn't have been top 4. That was ridiculous. They shouldn't have had a bye. That was just dumb. But fine. One gets in. I'm fine with that. James Madison. The only Power 4 team they played was Louisville.
And they lost.
And they lost 28-14. And Louisville's defense destroyed, not completely, but pretty much held in check everything James Madison likes to do offensively. Just they averaged 488 or 450 total yards a game during the season, and against them they had 260. Right now, flip it around defensively, they were decent against Louisville, but still they lost 28-14 to a team that's unranked, and that's their only one. That's their only game against a Power 5 team. Now, Tulane, like you said, they played Ole Miss, right?
Yeah, they played Ole Miss.
Hold on.
They got beat up by Ole Miss.
They got beat up by Ole Miss, and they got beat up by someone else. Why did I lose that? Man, I had it up here.
It was so Tulane also. They beat Northwestern, and they beat Duke.
That's right. They beat Northwestern. They beat Duke. They got blown out by Ole Miss, right?
Yeah. It was 45 to 10.
So at least I can give them credit for the 2 wins over Power 4 schools, even though they're not the best Power 4 schools, right? They're not
but
necessarily.
Northwestern still won Big Ten games.
Right. No, exactly.
Yeah,
so I can
Duke
give
won the ACC championship. So like you can't even complain about nobody should be complaining about Tulane.
Right. Well, I give them credit, but Ole Miss, they got pasted 45-10. And then they lost to University of Texas at San Antonio, right? UTSA?
No.
48-26.
Yes.
48-26. And they're a 20-point dog at Oregon. You should not have a 20-point dog in the playoffs, period. I'm sorry. I just...
Tulane's not a 20-point
I'm sorry. SMU, sorry. James Madison's a 20-point dog. What's Tulane a dog to? What's
17?
17. Okay, whatever. 17. Anyway, you shouldn't have teams in the playoffs who are 17 and 20-point dogs in the first round because they're playing teams outside the top.
Even it happens in the Power 4 too, though.
In the next round, not in the first round. How many games last year in the first round?
If Duke had gotten that last spot and they were playing against Oregon in Eugene, how much do you think they'd be favored by?
Right, because Duke is 7-5, like you said. Duke won the conference championship because of circumstances, not because they necessarily earned it because of formatting, which is what we're talking about here with having 2 group of 6 schools in, is it's a format issue. So then you end up leaving out teams that we all know would just smash the hell out of both of them in Notre Dame, BYU, and Texas. So now let's get to what they got right, what they got wrong. You go first. What they get right, what they get wrong.
I believe
go ahead.
I believe they got right Miami getting in the playoff over Notre Dame. I believe that they got that right.
I agree.
I don't like how they got to that.
I love it.
No, I hate it, and it is the reason why people are so upset right now. because like you can completely understand, and it takes a rational person. I'm sorry, it takes an irrational person to not understand how Notre Dame and Miami got so far apart to begin with. Like it takes an irrational person to, you know what I mean, to like
To not understand it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But if you were going to switch, like I knew funny business was up on Tuesday when they switched Alabama and Notre Dame, because there was nothing that was in that Auburn-Alabama game, or because it's not like Auburn was ranked. They didn't completely dominate that entire game. And there was nothing in the Notre Dame-Stanford game that led you to believe that those two teams should be switched. Nothing. So then I was like, oh, they want BYU to win so then they can keep Notre Dame and Miami out. But then when BYU lost, oh, here came the opportunity, because there was nothing that happened on Saturday, that should have switched those two teams. They should have been switched this Tuesday or the previous Tuesday. That's the first thing that I hate with the power of 1,000 suns, because now it brings into question a whole lot of things. And then the second thing that I hated was, so initially, I hated Alabama being in the playoff. I thought it was gross. I thought it was SEC glazing, because they looked so incredibly bad. The team is trending in the wrong direction. Clearly. Quarterback trended in the wrong direction. They cannot run the football against me and you on defense, Aaron. And so they came in with the 103rd ranked rushing offense in the entire country. This team is not a team that can win it. So I wouldn't have minded if they got left out. But I do believe that their win against Georgia, that I do think that they should have gotten penalized on some level from the conference championship, because you can't sit up here and tell me that if you play in the conference championship, that you only can accept the positive things that happen from it, and not have any negative repercussions. Because history says USC in 2022 with Caleb Williams, they lost to Utah, bumped out of the playoffs. It happened to Auburn in 2017, and the teams that have lost their conference championship by 14 or more points. That was
a 4-team system.
I know, but I'm saying eight out of, so in the since the 14 playoff, you've had 25 teams lose their conference championship game by 14 or more points. And the average drop is 2.5 spots. And only 8 out of the 25 dropped 2 or less spots.
Okay, but you're comparing dropping from 3 to 5, 4 to 6, not down in the 10, 11, 12 range, where it's not going to be the same. So I don't think you can compare those two things. But anyway. All right. So you think Bama should be out. Therefore, you think Notre Dame should be in over Bama, right?
I would be okay with that, but I do understand that Bama did beat Georgia in the beginning, like in Athens, and I do think that you can't just ignore that, because it's 1-1 right now, and Oklahoma. Well, Oklahoma's in the playoff, and they beat them too. So I would have been fine if Bama would have been left out, but yeah, I don't feel sorry for any of them teams in the back of the bus, just to be honest with you.
We've talked about that. Like I've told you, after 8, I just don't really care. I'll talk about it, but I don't care, because what I wanted to get rid of was that number 5, number 6 that could be in, number 7 that maybe could be in, the 4 getting squeezed out. Let's solve that, which we did. Now, after 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, if you're in, great. If you're 13, 14, 15, I don't have any time for you. But I don't think the group of 6 teams should be in there at all, unless you are ranked in the top 10. And you only get there by scheduling Power 4 teams, which James Madison, not so much. Tulane did, at least with Duke and NU.
Here's the issue.
Or schedule and defeat, I should say.
Is that I believe that we need to have some scheduling uniformity. if I
Right.
were commissioner, or when I am one day college football's commissioner,
Okay.
we're going down to 8 conference games. 8. We are going to play one crossover game based upon last year's standings with other conferences, okay?
Okay.
So that'll get us up to 11 games. And then you get an FCS game. And remember, these conferences are very big. So you can win
eight. You said 8 conference games. You mean 10?
Yes. Yep.
8. So 8 conference games, 1 crossover. You said 1 crossover. That's 9.
No. One crossover with each
Was
Power
eat
4
with.
conference.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Based
Okay.
upon where you finished last year in the standings.
Got you. Okay.
So now that gets us to 11 games. Then we got an FCS game. Okay. Then, because the conferences are so big, sometimes you win the scheduling roulette, like Texas A&M this year, where they only played one team ranked inside of the top 8 of the SEC. But because they navigated it, they're in the playoff. So what I would do is I would have the conference champions play, like the ACC, Big 10, Big 12 conference championship game. Both of those teams from all the conferences get in, okay? And then we're going to have play-in games, particularly in the Big 10, because I would give the Big 12. I'm sorry, I would give the SEC and Big 10, all these bigs, the SEC and the Big 10, 3 automatic qualifiers, okay?
Okay.
And then I'm giving the ACC and the Big 12 2 automatic qualifiers because I'm going to 16. And then I am having at-large bids for those last 5 spots because I'm giving one to the G5. So then I'm going to have the conference championship games, 1 play 2, okay, for the conference championship. But then I'm going to have 2 play-in games, 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5. That way, if you won the scheduling roulette, you didn't make the conference championship, you got to go fight for it. And then the 3 seed automatically gets in. And then 4 and 5, you're going to be fighting for those at-large spots. And same thing with the Big 12, you can be fighting for the at-large spots and stuff like that too. That'll make it a lot more clear. Because we would have so many more common opponents, so many more data points, because whoever wins the conference cup, they're going to have priority for those at-large spots. You see what I'm saying? So
okay.
like if out of the Big 10 playing against the SEC and the Big 12 and the ACC, if they win the conference cup, when it comes to the at-large spots, you're going to get preference in the at-large spots.
Okay. Wow. That was very detailed, very intricate. You would get absolutely trashed on an annual basis because people will find a way to complain about anything, not because your plan is wrong. As for this year, what they should have done is not have the group of 6 automatic. Before you have Notre Dame and you have BYU or Texas in. Texas, they all have an argument to be in there. Every last one of them does. It's funny watching each fan base, each media member affiliated with the team argue their team's case, even though they know damn well that the roles were reversed. Let's put it this way. Had Notre Dame beaten Miami and you flipped all the data points, not one Notre Dame fan or media member will be out there crying that Miami should be in over Notre Dame. Not a single one. So it's all built for hypocrisy. That's the problem.
Aaron, the only reason why they're crying about it is because of the way it was done.
But they should have known. They should have known that once they got close, it could flip.
They should have did this on Tuesday or last Tuesday because there was nothing that happened this last weekend.
BYU losing. BYU made Notre Dame and Miami now close to each other, and then you go, okay, well, Miami won. Boom. That's what they did. That's what happened.
Why did BYU drop a spot for losing their conference championship game?
Because it got blasted and lost that team twice and was already on the bubble. So you got to make a decision. Again, so George, here's the thing. We have to accept. The entire premise is nonsensical nonsense. You cannot accurately rank teams like this. It doesn't work. So that's why you just made that face, and everyone makes these faces. It's because the entire premise is nonsense. So no matter what you choose, there's an argument against it. So I'm just saying, they're sitting there with 4 teams. Like, what are we going to do? We got to figure out something. Well, BYU, they're going to be in. If they lose and get blown out again like they did, well, we have an excuse to drop them, put Miami up, and then boom, oh, Miami beat Notre Dame. Now you put Miami in front of Notre Dame. And now Notre Dame screwed because of this group of 6 nonsense they came up with. So, but again, we don't care about anything after 8. So we shouldn't talk about that often other than to make fun of the people whining about it. That's my thing. All right. Yeah. We done with that?
Yeah.
All right. And I'm not saying you're wrong. I just don't think there's a right or a wrong, really. It's just, it's impossible to pull off.
Yes. And I just think it's, that saying is not what you say, it's how you say it.
I get it, but I agree with what they did. I think the committee handled it the right way.
No, I'm saying I think they got the right answer, because you can't put Notre Dame in when Miami beat them head to head and they're that close. And it would be different. Here's the thing is, it would be different if Miami if Notre Dame toward the end of the season had like a win against Texas or Oregon or Alabama or something like that toward the end of the season. Now you can say, this is a whole different team. You know what I mean?
Right.
You like that, but they had nothing else outside of the USC win on their schedule because the teams that they picked turned out to be terrible. So I'm sorry, the teams on their schedule turned out not to be that great this year. And, it sucks for them. And they chose not to go to a bowl game but the reaction to that, I thought was gross.
Dude, it's embarrassing. Go to the bowl game. Go play BYU.
Okay.
You agree with them doing that?
I do believe that, like, on one hand, I don't think it's a smart decision, because you miss out on all those bowl practices, because the Pop-Tart Bowl, which is one of the best non-playoff bowl games. It just sounds bad because it's called the Pop-Tart Bowl. I get it, dude. It doesn't sound good, but Notre Dame would get those 15 practices, and they have a pretty young football team, which I think could be beneficial. But at the same time, they would have a bunch of opt-outs. And we don't know if their team got together and voted and was like, we don't want to play.
Okay. And whoever voted for it, whoever decided it, are you football players or not? See, that's what's being lost in this. Everyone's so all about the playoffs. College football was never about that, because you knew that the odds of getting there were so small, especially if you weren't one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the, programs that are always doing it all the time anyway. So you didn't play for that. Just for that, I should say. Everyone, dreamed of getting there, great, but you didn't play for that because it used to be just a vote, then it was a BCS, then it was 4 teams. Now it's 12, and you got basically number 11 or 12 who probably should have been in. So mad they're not in. They're so mad that they're just going to take their ball and go home. Are you football players or not? Play. You got another game, man. If you're a senior on that team, wouldn't you be pissed you have to play again? Or you might be thinking, I'm going to opt out and get ready for the draft anyway. I get that. But the more people that opt out, the more young players you get to play. So I find it corny, but whatever. I don't play for Notre Dame. I don't coach Notre Dame. Maybe it's something I'm missing. All right, let's get to Oregon's path. Now, let me just say this real quick, because again, I'm not a fan. I'm not an ex-player. I get it. Fans, ex-players are like, oh, come on, man. We want to find the best path. To me, that's just lame, man. You can't say I want to be the national champion, but I don't want to play the best teams to get there. I want to avoid the best teams as much as possible to find the best path. To me, that's corny. But that said, you got JMU. Is that what I said? I didn't say that's what you said necessarily. Okay. I'm saying that's what I see people all over Twitter saying it. It's just a great path, blah, blah, blah. I don't know how great the path really is, to be honest with you, because I don't think there is necessarily a good path beyond JMU. Yes, that's a better path. The first round path, I get it. That's fine. You try
to avoid hard, you find more hard. That's why I said just put teams in front of Oregon that Oregon can beat. I don't care if it's named Indiana. I don't care if it's named Ole Miss. I don't care if it's named Georgia. I don't care. Just put teams in front of them that they match up well with and that they can beat.
Well, right, so that they can beat. So you want the teams that they maybe can't beat to go away, so you don't have to deal with them, and then claim to be national champions, even though you avoided teams you probably couldn't beat. That's my point. So that's just the mentality.
No, Aaron. See. Here's the thing: is that everybody needs that path. It's not that you can't. I mean, look at the NFL playoffs. Because of the way the bracket gets set up, sometimes a team that is not the best team in the country just matches up better with you for whatever particular reason. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not running from competition or from really good football teams, because you can play a very good football team that you match up poorly with, and you can actually play a team that is not as good as you and match up poorly with them too. So that's what I'm saying is that I just want teams in front of Oregon that they can beat. That might be Georgia, that might be Ohio State, it might be Indiana, or it could be, playing.
So who can't they beat?
I don't think that there is a team that they can't beat.
Okay, this is a moot point then. All right, so let's just talk about the path. What do you think about this path? Because right now you're looking at Texas, probably Indiana, although Indiana could be upset by Alabama, maybe if Alabama got his stuff together, but probably not. So you're going to go Texas.
Alabama's
Texas Tech.
not beating Oklahoma, just so you know.
Okay, fine. So you're probably going to Texas Tech, a rematch with Indiana, and then you're looking at either Georgia or Ohio State. I kind of have a feeling Georgia might win that game if they play each other. So what do you think? Can they win those 3 games?
Yes, I like the path, and the reason why I like the path is this. Obviously, James Madison, but you can't just show up at that game and think that you're just gonna put your helmets on the field and win. Okay, but the Texas Tech game, none of these coaches, because I've talked to 2 coaches that had buys last year, and 1 coach who's had a bye this year. None of them wanted buys. And we've heard Kirby Smart talk about not really loving to buy either. So, so then Oregon gets a warm-up game. And then plays 11 days later, which is almost like a normal regular cycle. You know what I mean? Like it's less than a bye week.
Right. Yeah.
And, but enough time to get back healthy and game plan and all of that stuff. Versus Texas Tech, who's going to be on some level rusty because they're going to be off for 25 days. 25 days. So you get it. So you get a whole half of football to catch them, sleeping a little bit. And then Texas Tech's quarterback and wide receivers are not like Indiana's. They're not like Ohio State's. They're good players, but they're not dynamic enough that you're going to be terrified of. I have talked extensively about Texas Tech's defense. Texas Tech's defense is fantastic. However, I don't think Texas Tech has enough offense to beat Oregon. Okay. So then you end up playing, I believe Indiana will for sure beat either Alabama or Oklahoma.
Okay.
Oklahoma doesn't have enough offense to beat Indiana, period. And these are 2 top-tier defenses going against each other. And then you have Alabama, who cannot run the football. And if you're one-dimensional, like they couldn't beat Oklahoma because they were one-dimensional. Indiana shuts down the best thing. Like if you can't run the ball against Indiana, you're going to have trouble passing the ball against Indiana. So I would take Indiana in that game. And then Oregon versus Indiana again. I like the Ducks in that game. I think that they learned a lot from that game. Dante Moore grew up. When I look in Dante Moore's eyes from the second half of that game, which I did not like, and I've said it, to the end of the season, it is a different man in those eyes. It is a full grown man who understands who he is, and his confidence is unshakable at this point.
Okay. So then they get who do you think they would play in the finals more likely? Ohio State or Georgia? We're assuming they play. Like they could possibly not play.
Yeah. Georgia's defense
Miami's rolling up in there. The Hurricanes about to get busy. Go ahead.
Hey, I think Miami's gonna. If Miami can beat Texas A&M, the issue is I think that Miami gets the brakes beat off of them by Ohio State. Because I think that Carson Beck, he'll turn it into a turnover machine versus that defense. Like outside of that, I believe that they can win. But Carson Beck, he's gonna turn the ball over against that defense. He just is. And so I think you get Georgia versus I'm actually not even gonna put it past Ole Miss to beat Georgia, first of all.
Really? Nah, yes. They're in shambles. They're in shambles.
Yeah, but they get a warm up. And Georgia's offense is not that great. Like their wide receiver core is not great. They got Zachariah Branch, who has like 60 some odd catches, and the next highest person is like 30. So they throw a lot of quick screens and all of it. It's not a dynamic offense. It is built upon, and if you can slow down their run game, you can beat them. So I think that Ohio State beats Georgia because of that.
Okay.
But they got to just grind it. Like they're gonna have to grind it out. That's if Georgia plays Ohio State, that's gonna be a grind it out. That's probably gonna be another 13-7 game. I'm sorry, a 13-12 game, 13-10 game, and then you have Oregon versus. I'm gonna pick Georgia in the national championship.
Oregon, Georgia, national championship.
And I like Oregon versus Georgia. I like that matchup.
So you got Oregon winning it? Are you saying Oregon's going to win it? You said like 15% chance a couple weeks ago. Now you're saying they're going to win it. Try and pretend you're not. Try and pretend you're not an alum. Try and pretend you're not an alum for a second and be honest.
I do. I think that they have a legitimate. I think that with the way the bracket is set up, okay. I think that Georgia has a chance to win. Ohio State has a chance to win. Indiana and Oregon. That if I had to bet all my chips, those are the four teams that I believe have a realistic chance to win. And then, yeah, that's it. And so, and you don't have to play all of those teams. You only got to play two of them. So, yeah, so I give them a 25% chance to win the national.
It's up to 25 now.
Up to 25.
Wow.
Because of the path.
Wow.
If they had messed around and snuck into a bye, I'd have gave it like a 10% chance. 7. It would have went down from 15% that it was. It would have went down.
All right, so to me this all comes down to probability. I look at Oregon. I see the double overtime win at Penn State. I see the loss to Indiana. I see the close game, nearly lost to Iowa. I see a relatively close game with USC. And I see a game where it was 19-14 at Washington. And I look at those games. I say, okay, if they get into those types of situations against Texas Tech, Indiana, Ohio State, or Georgia, are they winning 3? And I just can't see how they're going to win the 3 because I think they put themselves in position to lose several games this year that had they been playing better teams, they would have lost those games and not even been in the playoffs. So now you're going to play those teams.
Ended up in the same situations too, okay. Except for Texas Tech.
Okay. I'm just saying. Those other teams almost lost to. Well, okay, I'm not getting into that. My point is, so Georgia, what are the probabilities?
Georgia just was in a dogfight in the SEC. Oh no, I'm sorry, against Georgia Tech the week before. They were in a dogfight there,
right?
And they also lost to Alabama, and they played. And they should have lost that Tennessee game, the one that went into overtime. Remember that early in the season,
right?
They actually came back and beat Florida. So that's what I'm saying, Aaron. Is that it's because you watch so much Ducks that like sometimes it's easy to because they have hold on, dude, stop. I'm just saying.
Because now you're trying to tell me what I think. You're trying to tell me
this with Georgia.
Oh my God, this is why homers annoy me. This is why the Notre Dame fans and even my Miami fan brethren just annoy me because you guys have tunnel vision. So yeah, there have been some games that Georgia had some But Georgia also beat the brakes off of Alabama. Name a win Oregon has on that level this season. Name one. They don't have one. So let's stop right there.
Okay.
They don't have one. Name a win
USC,
Oregon has. Name a win Oregon has.
Beat Alabama.
Okay, whatever. Where's USC ranked right now? Where are they ranked?
15?
15. Wait, 16. Okay. So they're not even they're 9-3. They're not even considered to be in the playoffs. But that's what you're gonna point to as your argument. Come on, dude. So there's that. And also, let's say Georgia smoked Texas 35-10. Name a win Oregon has on that level. They don't have one. Now we have an Ole Miss. Ole Miss.
Florida.
See, there you go. There you go.
So that's
this is my point. Everyone has a caveat. Regardless, George, regardless, that's 2 wins against teams ranked higher than Oregon's best win. And I haven't gotten to Ole Miss yet, which is in the playoffs. So do you see how everyone nitpicks to fit their narrative?
No,
Georgia's resume is way better than Oregon's. It's not even close. It's not close.
Their resume is better than
then that's
Oregon.
all we need to talk about.
However, Aaron, the
so
point is, if you're going to try to point out that Oregon, that the USC game was close for a minute, and then Washington was 19-14, you do have to acknowledge that Georgia just played a Georgia Tech team.
I acknowledge that.
Okay, so
you're missing the overall point because you want to zero in on whatever supports Oregon. Because yes, Georgia has games like that. Oregon has games like that. But Oregon doesn't have any win on the level of Bama, Texas, or Ole Miss. That puts Georgia a step ahead. Period. So what I'm saying is, when I look at Oregon, there's no win that Oregon has that I look at and go, this tells me that they can win 3 straight games against Texas Tech, Indiana, and Georgia or Ohio State when they don't have a single win against any team on that level. Not one. Even close. The closest is the USC. So that's all I'm saying.
The
homers are amazing.
Is that all of these games that I don't believe that they can potentially win 3 games in a row that could be close games.
Oh my God!
Because they had close games this season.
No, I wasn't. But I wasn't. That's where you interrupted me. I wasn't done. Nope. Okay. This is the problem. You interrupted me there because you saw a point to pounce. You didn't let me get to the rest of it. The rest of it included what I said after. So if you ever let me finish, you won't come in and make a moot point because it has nothing to do with the totality of what I'm saying. So yes, you're right. There were some close games we could point to for Georgia, just like Oregon. But Oregon doesn't have the wins over playoff teams or playoff contenders like Georgia does, which was my overall point. So if I look, the only team they played that was even in the playoff discussion beat them by 10 in Austin. So for me to believe now they're going to play 3 teams like that and beat them bang, 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 the odds are extremely low that that's going to happen. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Oh my God, you're amazing. I still love you, but your homerism is just unbelievable.
It's not homerism.
It's unbelievable. You wait for a window to defend Oregon, and you jump through that window instead of letting me finish. You do it all the time.
Aaron, the point is there are 4 teams that I believe can win a national championship, and I'm giving them all a 25% chance to win.
Okay, fair. All right, let's talk real quickly about this matchup with James Madison. Okay, give me a reason I should care.
It's a playoff game in Austin, first one ever. And
it's a playoff game.
No, it's a real playoff game.
No, it's
because
not.
Because if you go out there and you BS and you turn the ball over and you throw picks and you fumble, you can lose this football game.
Of course.
So that's why you should care, because this is a football game that you can lose. That's why you should care.
Okay.
Will you probably lose it? No. But can you lose it? Yes.
Okay. We could have said that about James a bunch of games on their schedule.
One for no reason.
Okay. That doesn't move me. Tell me why. Okay. Tell me what. I'm just saying I am so not into this game at all. I just do not care. Like, wake me when it's done. It's a waste of everyone's time. It's silly. We could have had a great matchup against, Notre Dame, like I said, or even Texas.
So now you're doing this. If pans was pots and pans, the whole world would be a kitchen.
I'm saying why I don't like it.
It was never an option. It was never going to be an option this year that Oregon was going to play anybody except for Tulane, North Texas, or Tulane, North Texas, James Madison, or Duke. Those were the only options that they were going to have a chance to play going into this last week. That was it.
I get it, and because of that, I don't care. Wake me when it's done. If Oregon loses this game, then all hell's going to break loose anyway. Then I don't care about that. But it's not going to happen. They're going to pummel these guys. All right, so give me something about them that people can go into and be afraid of as a 20.5-point dog. What about them? What do they bring to the table?
This is
you got anything?
Yes, bro.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
This is the James Madison team whose quarterback is a dynamic runner. He's got over 500 yards rushing this season and 14 touchdowns.
14 touchdowns, yep. And 2,500 passing and 21 touchdowns.
Yes. So he's got 35 total touchdowns this season and over 3,000 yards. So he is like, this is an offense for Alonzo Barrett that he has to be accounted for. This is a dude that can get loose. He can hit his head on the goalpost. You have to pay attention there. And this defense, they actually have been pretty good against the pass. I'm sorry, against the run especially. And they have 36 sacks on the season, Aaron. 36.
Yep.
That's
2.78 per game, which is top 20, I think. Yeah.
Yes. That's a lot of freaking sacks.
Yep. They're good, man.
So yes, there is no just discounting this team. Oregon only has 23 sacks on the season. Granted, because people drop back passing against them. But and they do so many quicks and screens and everything else to try to nerf it, because as soon as they do drop back pass, sacks happen.
Okay, are you done?
Yep.
All right, here's what I'm going to compare this to. There's zero difference between this game coming up at Autzen and when Oregon had to play Liberty in the Fiesta Bowl. Liberty rolled in with a quarterback, Caden Salter, 2,800 yards, 32 touchdowns, 6 picks, rushed for 1,100 yards, 12 touchdowns. What was the final score? 45-6. So I don't want to hear it. I don't care what they did against whom, how, what. And I'm not disrespecting the group of 6. They're great athletes in there who go pro, who move up to the Power Four. But they have no business. They have no business on coming to Austin for a playoff game.
No.
Okay. It's just like that Liberty game was. Do you remember that matchup was set? Do you remember the matchup was set with Liberty? Everyone was like, this is horrible. It's not
Aaron, this is a game that you have to go out and play your A game. This is a tough team.
They could play their C game and win this game by 2 or 3 touchdowns easily.
You are going to lose this football game.
Okay, that's any game.
This is a tough, hard-nosed football team. They are a proud football team.
Okay. God, now you're doing your best to sell the opponent. Okay, so let's go to the one game they played against a Power 4 team. They played Louisville. They lost 28-14. So this vaunted offense that you're talking about, Barnett was held to 102 yards passing. He did have a touchdown. He was sacked 6 times. He was sacked 6 times. They have a
top. I think they were top 12 or 14 this year against the pass.
Okay. Amazing. Doesn't matter. So they went from averaging 448 yards per game, which is 22nd nationally, and ranked 6th in the nation at 245 yards rushing per game. That's the Dukes. Then they played Louisville, 102 passing, 263 total yards. So they lost 200 yards of offense almost, going from the Power 6 teams they played to Louisville. And I just said Barnett did not have a good game, and they rushed for 126 yards on 47 carries. So Louisville, a team not even remotely close to the playoff field, let alone top 5, completely shut down their offense. Barnett's good, but he's basically Damon Williams Jr. light. And we saw what Oregon did to them back-to-back years. So no, I don't want to hear it. This is a tune-up game. It's like when the top boxers spar against somebody. It's a sparring match. And usually the sparring partners are pretty good. They're pretty good. If you let your guard down, you get knocked out. But that's not going to happen.
Tennessee was a sparring match for Ohio State last
Okay,
year.
now we're going to compare Tennessee to
I mean, I'm just saying
J.
they were a
Okay,
sparring match. It was a sparring
You're
match.
just saying. I know. Okay. All right. Last but not least, well, we can't really talk about our Heisman votes, but did you have fun casting your first ballot? Was it all
Yes,
you
I
ever?
did.
Were you just sitting there like? Did you have like a 12-course meal and you were like,
I put on a tuxedo.
You put on the tuxedo and like,
you know,
vote.
no,
Chicken stats.
I did. I enjoyed it, and I thought I spent. Let's say I imagined that it was going to be easy, and I would just over the course of the regular season wouldn't spend any time about this really because I'd figure it out. It would be clear and apparent to me. This year it wasn't clear and apparent. Like I was searching, like starting 3 weeks ago. I'm like, yo, who the hell am I gonna vote for? And I'm searching and searching, and then manna from heaven opened up, and it became clear for me.
Yeah.
So I thought that there's a number of players who were really good and that deserves consideration. I think Pavia deserves some consideration. Linebacker out of Texas Tech, Rodriguez. I think Fernando Mendoza, Jeremiah Love, Jeremiah Smith. I thought Dante Moore deserved to be in the top 10 probably. Not going to the finals, Aaron.
Right.
I think that he'll probably finish somewhere in the top 10 probably. I think that I think that there's a number of players that deserve some. I think Malachi Nelson out of USC, that he deserves some potential Heisman love too. I think that there's a number of players who had very nice seasons, but it didn't feel like anybody just stuck out like a sore thumb. And and if a guy like Pavia wins, it'll feel like almost like a lifetime achievement award, like when Ron Dane won.
Right.
But
this is one of those years where it's kind of sad because Penix Jr. or Bo Nix, you transport them into the season.
Yep.
Both. That year was hard because you had three guys. It was like, oh my god, like who do you pick?
Know who would have gotten it had his team won 2 more games? For sure. Because number one, they would have been in the playoff. Darian Mensah. Mm-hmm. That kid from Duke, his stats, let me read you his stat line because I think that most people didn't watch a lot of ACC games, and they also didn't watch Duke. You know what I mean? Right. Especially. So let me go to the games. So yeah, he plays at Duke. He finished the season with 3,600 yards on 78% completions, 30 touchdowns, 5 picks.
Damn.
And then another rushing touchdown. Like, he was incredible. Absolutely incredible.
All right, real quick, I forgot about this topic. Let's touch on it before I have to jet to a meeting. But Pat Kraft, Penn State.
Luckiest man in America.
The things he said about Oregon, though.
Oh, hey, man. Dan told everybody before the Washington game, be the villain. It's fine. I mean, he was like, Oregon's a fraud. All right, man. Your hiring process was fraudulent. You backed into, dude, he fell into a gold mine with Matt Campbell because Iowa State's collective guy, Brent Bloom, he backed away from the collective. That means the money's going to dry up and all of that stuff. That's the only reason why Matt Campbell left. Only reason why he left. And so after a failed coaching search, and you know what else he got lucky with? That happened, and he was not a Jimmy Sexton guy. I do believe that Jimmy Sexton was boxing him out.
Quite possibly. So the one line that made the rounds was he says something about Ohio State and Michigan, then says Oregon. Then he said quarterback was shaking in overtime, but we have to win that game. To me,
Which
you could make the
quarterback
case
was
he
he
was talking
talking
about Aller. Well, to me, you can make a case he was talking about Aller because Aller's the one who kind of choked, whereas Dante Moore, I mean, was he shaking? I don't remember seeing. Was he shaking? Was there like a video of his hand shaking or something like that?
There was not.
Because someone was trying to claim there's a video of his hand shaking in overtime. So I kind of thought people might have taken that out of context, but people I work with insist that no, he definitely meant more, but he just shouldn't have used the word but. Because you wouldn't say, but we got to win when the quarterback's shaking. You would say, their quarterback was on fire, but we got to win.
But he was
their
also
quarterback was scared,
in
but
like
we got to win.
heated state too.
Exactly. So people
fumble their words when they're
right. But it's just the whole thing was look. That was a private meeting. Whoever recorded that and released that,
that's nasty work.
You're exposed legally.
Yeah,
like that's a crime in that state. Like you can't.
Yeah,
you
but
can't
nobody
do
is gonna give their sources up. So
it's someone in that room, so you can narrow it down. I mean, I do have a problem with an AD talking.
It was like a team meeting, so it could have been like 50, 70 people in there.
I know. I mean, hey, get the spotlight on them and interrogate all of them. Anyway, but I'm being Pollyanna.
Is Pennsylvania a one-party consent state?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay.
It's not. Hardly any states are for recording in person, recording over the phone. Like Oregon, you can record over the phone with one-party consent, and some states are like that. But I don't think any. I don't know how. Not very many are. Someone can record in person in a private setting. You can record in public.
Yeah.
Like if you're at a park, you can record.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was just shocked to hear the way he was talking to players. Like to me, an AD should be far more professional than that. And then it comes back to the whole thing I talk about where you have all these programs who all think they're all so flippin' special. We should be the ones. We should win the national championship. You can't have 15 programs all. I mean, yeah, you want that. I get it. You're striving for that. But that can't be your mentality where if we're not winning it, everyone's got to be fired. It's just, I don't like that part of college football. I get it to a certain point, but there has to, and the way he was talking about Franklin, I think it's just like, dude, come on, man, show some class.
Yeah, that's why nobody wanted your job, pal. And
that's why you got 2 recruits.
Yes, you got lucky, and you ruined, they ruined an entire, recruiting class. And they're going to have some defections just because there's a new coach. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So now you got to do more in the transfer portal. Matt Campbell ain't even really ever did that. So now you're going to be trying to build in the portal, recruit for next year, and try to get some scraps out. And when I say scraps, I don't mean that players aren't good because there are plenty of players. No, I'm saying that, but when I say scraps, out of the top 500 players, there might be 40 that aren't signed yet.
Right.
And those are the caliber of players that Penn State is going to have on their roster.
Right.
So, and some of them ain't going to go to Penn State. So
now, they should have a lot. They should have a lot of transfer portal money and do what Texas Tech did, right? Maybe they can pull that off. And you go out just because you didn't spend money on high school recruits, you might as well take that money and throw it in the portal.
You are very right about that.
Maybe you raid Tulane and James Madison.
Yeah, but if you play that portal game too much, like you can play it for a year and then catch up with high school recruiting, but you try to play that portal game, you will lose. Nobody wins the portal game. Nobody.
Okay, I hear you. All right, we got to run here on the Ducks Confidential
portal game. But
all right, we got to run here on the Ducks Confidential podcast. We'll be back to talk more about this matchup next week. See you then.